And sure, let me just put the phones on for a second and check our sound. Okay, okay, John, during the break there, you said something really interesting. You said that a doctor did corroborate that it was antifreeze in...
Well, it was my understanding, and I did not talk to the doctors directly about the cause of his poisoning, but it was my understanding from talking to the people around David that the medical doctors were telling the family that he had been poisoned by antifreeze. And I was talking about David and his background. He was a war hero. He was a volunteer that participated in American military efforts in Vietnam. His approach was unique and very heroic and larger than life, much like David. In a year's time, David volunteered for 62 NEDCAP missions. He was a captain. And NEDCAP missions were forays by the American military into the Vietnamese countryside to provide medical and or dental services. He did that and led many of those missions as a captain. He volunteered, as I said, for 62 of those missions in 1 year. The danger was very palpable because when these American medical and dental teams went into villages, they never knew in advance whether the village was controlled by the Viet Cong. So they basically put their lives on the line every time that they went into a Vietnamese village. David had a very dynamic career as a radio journalist, investigative reporter. I met David through a murder case that we handled in which a young airman had been falsely convicted and really framed for a murder that he did not commit, was not even present at its commission, and didn't even know about it, but nevertheless got sentenced to life for a crime with which he had nothing to do. Well, we worked on that case and actually, through the grace of God and the intervention of Jesus, were able to get this young man acquitted and released from prison after 9 years. David came to cover the press conference we held after the release of the young airman that had been unjustly convicted and sentenced to jail. And David showed up when we had a press conference relative to his exoneration.
Was there something about the DA being involved in this case?
Well, that was a murder case in which the then district attorney of Bossier Parish was actually implicated in the murder by post-trial investigation. But David was a phenomenal and very courageous radio journalist. He had a sense of humor. People loved him. He was honest. I said already that he was an extraordinarily talented dentist, had a great theoretical mind. He could sketch, he could draw, he could diagram, he had architectural capability, he could see and diagram in 3 dimensions. While he was one of the most talented dentists in this area and is recognized for his tremendous ability, his practice was unusual because he spent a lot of time giving away free dental work. He gave away a lot of free dental work to recovering alcoholics and drug addicts through the Overcomers Training Center. David, for a time, was very involved in racehorses. Again, military hero, baseball player, athletic, radio journalist.
So when did he die?
Well, he was poisoned. And if I wasn't there when he was poisoned, I don't know who poisoned him. This is the information that I am aware of. David told me prior to being poisoned that an FBI agent, Spoon, spoke to him after David had warned the FBI about the Muslims being on American soil, and after 9/11 had occurred, despite David's warnings that these Muslims with unsavory connections were using false identities, trying to get on Barksdale Air Force Base, talking about one of their relatives meeting with bin Laden. After David had made all those warnings to the local FBI office, and after 9/11 occurred, David had ongoing communications with the local FBI office. David told me that on one of those occasions, an agent Spoon had a conversation with him in which he said, "Dr. Graham, how is your health?" "No, Dr. Graham, I don't think you understand. I'm asking you, Dr. Graham, how is your health, Dr. Graham?" The clear implication to me, the way David said it and what he said, was that he had been warned or threatened by an FBI agent. And the context was, the warning came in, I believe, the context indicated that the threat was in the context of David revealing that he had tipped off the FBI about these Muslim terrorists approximately some 10 months before 9/11 occurred.
Do you have an approximate date of the "how is your health" question from the FBI?
I would have to go back and, no. And the short answer is no. I don't know whether I may have some.